to life? America's most talked about program, brought to you by the Wishy-Washy Washing Machine Company of Walla Walla, Washington. And now, here he is, Mr. This Is a Life himself, Elmer Fudd.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we add another name to the long list of those we have honored. Someone here in our audience is our guest of honor, and no one knows who it will be. He is a beloved character who has made his name in motion pictures, one who is thoughtful of others.
That's me. It's gonna be me.
A sparkling personality, generous, charitable, self-effacing.
This would be embarrassing if it weren't true.
And what is your name, sir?
Daffy Duck's the name, as if it weren't inscribed in gold on that little old book. You master showman, you. You may precede me to the stage, sir.
Aren't you Bugs Bunny?
Who, me? Never mind him. We've only got a short time to do my interesting career. Let's get on with it. Read the name. Good and loud, mister.
So what I'd like to do is call Alex up and have him sit in this chair. Chair up here.
Any chair?
Any chair that's close by. And we've asked a few people to give some little testimonials. Anyone can say what is on his or her mind, as long as you keep it under 2 minutes. And as I said, as I don't want to run the risk of following someone else's fabulous tribute, which I just did, I was going to begin my life with Alex for my first testimonial speech here. So here's what I would like to say to my husband on his birthday. Okay.
Can I hide? You can run. You can't do that.
Can I run and hide? Who would have known it would be my fate in 1963 to meet my soulmate? Soon we were wed and our families became one. But wait a minute, we're not done. In '66, we added a son. The years went by in a flash it did seem. Campfire girls, hockey, and even swim team. Camping, skiing, both water and snow. Fishing and boating. Where did the time go? Soon they were gone, and we had that empty nest. Was our marriage strong? Could we pass that test? What would we do with all that time? Would just be lying back be such a crime? So we bought a motorhome and we started to roam. We saw mountains, oceans, and back roads galore. If you ask me, we couldn't have wanted for more. But we're given some grandkids. What great joys. But how quickly they grow. The older ones are already interested in boys. The little ones are all into sports, swimming, baseball, and team games of all sorts. We've had vacation homes at the desert and sea. Now we're spending time in beautiful BC. We are sure having a ball, but sorry kids, we're spending it all. It was time to retire. What would be new? Tennis and biking, to name just a few. And oh yes, let's move too, just in case we run out of things to do. It's hard to condense 40 years, but I'll try. Have to keep it light, or else I will cry. To sum it up, it may be wrong, but I'm stealing a line from a popular song. We're sure having fun, and you're still the one. Anyway, we'll go on to the next person who would like to say something. I think a few people have volunteered or been volunteered for the job. And I think next we'll call up Art Gutman. He's Alex's oldest friend.
Except for perhaps Ruth and Mitch.
I've known Alec longer than anyone else in this room. And Mitch was just a bad eye when I first met Alec, and Ruth was the girl in the middle who was sort of always in her way. But wow, it's as if I'm part of the Halperin family, and the way Glenda and I have been welcomed into your group, not only today, but on past occasions, is very, very heartwarming. Our friendship goes back, as you can tell, since I was in grade 3. And we lived in each other's houses, in each other's homes, really. I was in and out of the Halperin residence 2, 3, 4 times a day. Alec must have been in and out of ours about the same. Watching movies in the evening when his father would let us, because he was part of the 16mm sounders. And then coming up to our house and devouring a chocolate cake about the size of a football field, and a quart of milk between the two of us. And then, of course, the third one that was added was my niece, who unfortunately is not with us today, but is doing well in Boston. 3 inseparable friends and friendships that have never ended and will never. You know, we not only lived in each other's homes in Montreal, but also in St. Agathe and Woodlands, Chateauguay. My dad actually was the first one that Alec went fishing with. And I can remember going up, and Sydney will appreciate this, going up to St. Agathe. We'd go up 2 weeks for the summer, he'd come down to our place for 2 weeks in the summer, and not the same 2 weeks. And I remember one of the years we were up there, lo and behold, Alec had his bar mitzvah to come up that fall. And I had to endure listening to him practice every day because his mother insisted on it or he wouldn't eat. And so I learned his part. I learned his portion probably as well as my own about a year later. Lots of fun. We played basketball. We did all the sporting things, and now we share, and we share on a different level. Like Glenda and I, like Alex, Glenda and I are also in love with Carol, and with Mitch, and Brenda, and Ruth, and Art, and friendships with them that have been created that didn't exist when I first met. The meeting now the children and the grandchildren has really made us very much part of this. I didn't speak to my mom this morning. I tried to reach her and I couldn't, but I know exactly what she would say. She would say, the next time you're in Montreal, I'll get my sister, her daughter, my sister, to make my mother's chocolate cake and make sure you have a good piece of it. But she does send her love because she did know we were coming down to both of you. Now, occasions in their lives that we've shared that have been wonderful. One of the most memorable was their 25th anniversary on Catalina, and the honor of being able to not only to be present, but to take part in that ceremony I will never forget. You know, when we first heard about this, we didn't realize they were really being serious. We thought this was sort of a pleasant idea, we'll get remarried or we'll have a sort of a ceremony. When we arrived and found out what was really happening, I don't think that thought has ever left me. And then being part of other events, Danny and Ross's wedding in Kelowna, where again I was able to take part in the ceremony, and to see them again on occasions after that in Kelowna. Keep it up, guys, we love it. We have the 50th anniversary coming up next year, and so I've extended an invitation to Carol and Alec to make sure that they're in Vancouver. But we also have another event coming up in Vancouver very shortly after, 2010. We have the Winter Olympics. And I was told we cannot bring presents, we can't bring gifts. So I have a presentation to make. And Carol? Alec, you're right. Alec? Vancouver Olympics official teacher.
I guess I'm a first round draft pick.
And if you're not careful, you'll get traded. Carol? This one's much more colorful.
Turn around so they can see you. Oh, yeah. That's the official shirt, the official Olympic symbol, the okay.
Anyway, thanks guys, Michael Todd, and enjoy every bit of the day.
You're 75, but that's not very old. The advantages of youth are excessively extolled. You RV through mountain passes while your juniors bust their asses. Hey, it's certainly great to be not very old. You're 75, but that's not very old. You search the ocean blue for big fish that are bold. But some marlins, enlightened, are wise to be frightened. Hey, it's certainly great to be not very old. You're 75, but that's not very old. Abandoning your diet, you drink the nectar of the mold. With your grandchild on your lap, you're sipping Shattered of the Past. Hey, it's certainly great to be not very old. You're 75, but that's not very old. At night, you grab the blankets when it's cold. If Carol cries into your ear, you pretend you cannot hear. Hey, it's certainly great to be not very old. You're 75, but that's not very old. You enjoy your senior's discount, except if you buy gold. You get half-price movie passes. Bring your hearing aid and glasses. Hey, it's certainly great to be not very old. You're 75, but that's not very old. With all bran and Metamucil, your intestines are controlled. Spare the dog of your abuses. You now pass wind with no excuses. Hey, it's certainly great to be not very old. Last verse. You're 75, but that's not very old. More chapters must be written ere your story will be told. Perhaps in another 20 years, after many after many good and 20 years, it'll still be great when you're really very old.
Now we're going to call on the brothers and the sisters. So who wants to go first? Mitch or
Brother.
My sister understands well. Right? Ross? Whatever. Well, we're all going to do that. Well, I'm almost speechless, Alex, but I'm here as a representative of the earliest time. Carol gave a number of adjectives that described Alex in what a person he was, how smart, how wonderful, how caring he was, how considerate he was of everyone. And I can give you some examples of this. And why we decided to do it as a full family was because we could represent various parts of the stages as we each arrived at the time. And so Alex and Ruthie, we shared a fantastic set of parents, grandparents, family, each of our spouses, fantastic families. in-laws. It's really been terrific. So let me give you the peaches and cream version of living with Alex. Alex was the absolute role model. He was the apple of the eye of the Halperin family, and he was absolutely exemplary. He was an outstanding student. He was always neat, tidy, caring for everybody else. And to illustrate that, I'm 7 years younger than him, and I grew up in a different family, in a sense, because someone was in between and softened up our parents so that the discipline disappeared completely by the time I arrived. But nevertheless, imagine taking your 7-year-old, or your brothers who's 7 years younger, and asking him to play road hockey with your friends, and making sure that you didn't get trampled in the process. I played road hockey with Alex's friends, not my friends initially, and he really took care of me. On the other hand, with peaches and cream, there was a downside to being Alex's brother. Here's the story in our family. What high school, Mitchell, do you want to go to? Your Alex went to Montreal High, the inner city school, the tough school. Which one do you want to go to? And I said, I want to go to Strathcona. And when I went to Montreal High, I had the same teachers as Alex did. Mr. McCurgo in history, etc. And what happened was this. The teacher would look at me and say, name is familiar, you look familiar, but I just can't picture your family. And when I told them, they said, who is your brother? Because it was an all-boys school. Ruthie was in the other school, or all-girls school. I said, my brother's Alexander. And they said, couldn't be. He was so well behaved. And the other image that I was illustrate his sense of humor and his sort of joy of being in the family. Our mother was regal. Some of those images you saw on that screen, Alex, or Rick, watch out. She's coming. But nevertheless, Alex had this view of himself. He said, I will do it myself. Did you hear that? Your descendant, not mine. And so he said to my mother said, I want to go shopping in Steinberg. Alex, because he wanted to do things for himself, didn't take an allowance. He drove a taxi cab for A.B. Hockey and Solly. That's right. And he said, I'll take you to the Steinbergs, and after we get the stuff, I'll drive you home. And my mother was not quite so sure she wanted to go with him, but after, when they got home and he opened up the back door where she got out of the car, and Alex carried the parcels in. That was the relationship in our family. And now I'd like to pass it on to Brenda, who will tell you what the family was like, Alex, as at a different view from the earlier times.
I just wanted to say I'm delighted to be here, and Alex, it's great. Carol, it's wonderful. Coming into the family, it was a wonderful event, and I just wanted to give you two little stories just to portray some of the things how Alex has affected our family. Mitch and I were on our way to Washington, and we stopped by and there Alex's place, and Alex was moving to California, and this was pre-Carol. And we were on our way to California, and Alex said, here is a car, and here are some shelves and some furniture. We still have the furniture, and we still have the shelves, and we don't have the car, but generosity was there, and it's always been that way in this family, and we are truly blessed. And that was one example of great generosity. And the other was how Alex had brought in the rest of our family by taking some of the family fishing. And I'll just give you one little story. When Alex took Frank and Mitch on the Docks Delight. And they went out fishing, and Mitch is not a great fisherman, but they were out fishing, and it was a wavy day, and Mitch was getting whiter and going up, whiter and whiter, and eventually Alex really had to turn the boat around. And Frank looked at his father, and looked at Alex, and he said to Alex, "Alex, is my father dead?" And that, the influence Alex had, the boys fishing and boating, and ever since it's been fishing and boating, and it has not stopped to this day. And Mitch has learned that fishing is not his thing. But I want to thank Alex and Carol for everything. They've truly been a great influence and a great part of our family. Thank you. And I think my boys have more to say.
I want to say yes, but very short bit to say. Okay. All right. So Linda and I had put this together. If you can believe it, I am going to recite poetry. I'm not a Lesnov, I'm not for reciting poetry, but if you can believe this. So hold on for a second. So here we go. We are not poets. We definitely know it. I'm sure you will too by the end. But that won't stop us. We're far too insistent, for we too have best wishes to send. We all know we're here with our thoughts and our cheers to celebrate Alex's big day. 3/4 of a century went by oh so quickly, and it looks great on him, wouldn't you say? Alex has worn through the years many hats, dentists and surgeons and things like that. But I think we'll all agree that what's touched our lot are not those at all, but the hats that he's worn that have no surgical knots. He's a lover of boats and most anything that floats, from the Sabbath to the second sea. He's given many of us our love of the ocean. On board the Docks Delight, Mellowee, Sea and Me, and of course the second sea, and I'm sure I've missed 2 or 3. I can't get all that to rhyme together. His true love is fishing. Sorry, Carol. That is not true. He's wishing.
Second. See?
Alright, his true love is fishing, sort of. When he's not there, he's wishing that fishing could pay the bills. He's happiest hooked up to a marlin, will settle for anything, but will settle for almost anything with gills. He's shown me many good times, too numerous to express in rhymes, but I must at least give it a try. He's been our tour guide in Cabo, a skipper, a fisher, and a hockey fan, but cheering for the wrong side. Of course, Carol is really his true love. They fit together just like a glove. Their blended family are all his pride, and I am truly lucky to be counted here in this extended family gathered here by his side. I will end this year, but do not ever fear, for in 2030 I'll be back, just like your governor. Okay. With another poem to honor you with, to celebrate. With another poem to honor you with, to celebrate the other quarter off the rack.
Well, after hearing that version of Halperin poetry, I think you'll all take a big sigh of relief when you realize that I have no poetry to read. That was like Frank. Yes, the poetry does definitely belong to the Lesnov family. First of all, I wanted to thank my wife, Danny, for coming all this way and helping me this weekend with Zane and Ava. We didn't expect to be here and are very happy that we could be here to share this with you, Alex and Carol. As many of you know, I've been privileged to spend most of my Augusts from, I think, when I was bar mitzvah till presently in Southern California with my second set of parents. That's what I thought second C stands for, but second set of parents. Alex, I wanted to first, I'm going to say thank you to you for many things, for the lessons you've taught me through the years, lessons of love of family, of generosity and love of the sea, but I think also you and I together owe my father Mitch an apology. And And that apology is for all those years of boasting that I did of him because of the interest that he kindled in me. So for Alex, sorry, Dad. And I guess I know what I have coming. Anyway, thank you very much. Danny and I didn't expect to be here, so we don't have a present for you. When we made this, oh hello, we weren't expecting to be able to present it in person. We were expecting to send it to you. So this is another presentation. And you think, I didn't use the one with the afro. Rick, thank you. That was fantastic.
Well, I have to tell you, I don't have a poem either. As you know, I'm going to go further beyond. As you know, Alec and Carol bought a house and land in Grand Forks. He has very nice neighbors that fall into two categories. The Duke boys and the farmers. The Duke boys, when they want to protest, throw off their clothes, and the farmers grow a special crop. When there's a problem, I think that Alec should put on this shirt to know when the law comes around where he stands. Excellent.
Okay. Any mailings around? Any grow-ups around here?
Thank you. I just wanted to add one thing to Mitch's speech when he said that the discipline when he was little was out the window. I want to tell you about a film that I saw. I saw a movie of him when he was young. And I'm sitting on the edge of my seat during this movie and I'm saying, why doesn't somebody take that kid and make him behave? And that was like after he was well grown. I hadn't asked any of the kids really to prepare anything. I just thought it would be better if they just did an impromptu tribute to their dad. And so if any of our children would like to come up and say something, they're certainly welcome to do so. And really, front and center.
Taking the pressure off the steps to let him think. My mind has been on something else for the last couple of weeks, so I didn't prepare anything. Although, when I'm listening, you know, the slideshow was very touching, and when Uncle Mitch says that you've been a terrific role model, when I prepared my little notes here, that's what I ended up with this. Most of all, you've been a great role model, so I'll end with my beginning, and you're right. He started out as a great role model with you guys, and since 1963, when you became my father, you've been a great role model. One of the funny things that as you get older, yesterday I'm sitting in the synagogue and I'm having this out-of-body experience that, oh my God, this is my child, I'm not old enough for this. And to be in that chair yesterday, I thought that you were really instrumental in preparing me for that. You've been a great role model, always level-headed, and a lot of decisions that I make are based on things that I know that you would have done, so thank you for that. I'm also, it's funny to think that the whole time you're growing up, you don't realize things until you get older, but I always thought you were crazy. Now, the phone, as a physician, the phone would ring all the time for him. We'd always get these phone calls. We'd have to get 2 lines installed in the house because the phone was always ringing for Alex. And so he'd talk, hello, yeah, yeah. And then about 4 minutes later, he'd start the whole conversation again. but I didn't realize until I got older that it was always the answering machine kind of prepping him, and then he'd actually get the client or the patient on the phone. So the whole time I thought you were senile growing up and you had to start your conversations twice. So as I get older, I look back and I realize that why you do some of the things you do, and they're always making sense to me now. But thank you. You've been a great role model, and I love you.
I'm going to take the pressure off all the other siblings and say that their words and their memories are in this book, which is
Dan, I'll say congratulations on reaching 75. I just think it was like yesterday I was up here for your 50th. And I'm turning 50 pretty soon, so this is definitely an out-of-body experience for me. Fred's not far behind. And actually, most of you who know our family, we each go by a year down. It goes Glenda, then me, and then Fred, and I think Rick and Fran, and then Frank. That's another party. I would say, Dad, for me, it's also been a role model. I'll tell you one quick story. When I was in medical school, he was so proud. I mean, he was beaming. When I went to Queens, remember every week I would call, and I would tell him what I did that week in school. And he always wanted to know what I was doing in anatomy. And we would spend an hour on the phone going through all the things I learned in anatomy that week, and he was really into that and wanted to hear about it. Well, one week I get a call, and I get this phone call like at midnight, and they wake me up, and he didn't get his phone call for the week. And I said to him, well, we were off school for a week, we had a break. I said, break? Medical school? I never had breaks. But he was always there for me, and as my career's advanced, every time I've had a decision to make as far as what I'm going to do and what career path I'm going to choose and decisions, he's always been there. He's been a role model for other areas of my life as well. And I want to thank him about my heart, Dad. It's been great. I love you very much.
Not too hard. But anyway, sitting here yesterday at Sydney's bat mitzvah and today in the room and looking around at all the friends and family we've got here. And then, of course, watching the presentation that Rick put together, that was excellent. And, brought back a lot of memories, things you don't really remember too much until you get it put right there in front of you. And there was a lot of neat things, shots from catching those bonita on that must have been the dolphin boat or something like that, and the old Mellowy and things like that. It was pretty neat. It brought back a lot of good old memories. I remember some stories. I don't actually remember them happening, but I remember hearing the stories, and those become your memories. And a couple of things. I know when I was in school, probably 5 or 6 years old, my teacher asked a few things, and draw a picture of what your dad does for work, and I turned in a picture with a bunch of circles on it. She said, well, what in the world is that? I said, well, my dad's a doctor, and he makes rounds. And I thought that's what he did. I didn't understand. But as I got older, I really got it, and it must have been a year or two later, and my teacher asked me again, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, by then I knew. I said, well, I want to be just like my dad. I want to be a fisherman. And I thought that's what we did. And that's because that's what we did together. And those were the times that I can recall being on the boat and spending time together. It's hard as a kid when you're growing up and you're becoming who you're going to be. And, I'm sure I wasn't the easiest kid to have around. And I apologize to both of you guys for the heartache I must have caused. But also want to thank you for the good job you did. And sooner or later, hopefully I'll come around and made some good decisions eventually. But those were some good times, and it kind of kept us together, I think, and it's been real good. Obviously, the times on the boat, got to know a lot of my family a lot better. Ross and Frank and Chuck and the rest of you guys. It's been really good. Now I've got a boat of my own, but I still rather be out there with Dad when we can do it. Look forward to all that kind of stuff. And it's just been really good. It's been a lot of fun, and talk about role models and learning what you're going to do and how it's going to be, and thinking back to how you make your decisions. And I remember looking at some of those pictures that Rick had up there, and when I was a kid looking at some of those thinking, dang, I don't remember taking that picture. That's because I didn't. It was a picture of him looking much like I did. And so I think that if I can just continue along this path, I'll be okay. So I want to thank you, Dad and Mom, for everything you've done a lot.
Well, I wasn't prepared for this either, and I don't want to joke. But Alex, I just want to thank you for everything that you've done for me and my family, and all the activities that you've done, and everything in between. I don't think I could go on. I love you. And Audrey wants to say something now, and then I'm going to have the grandkids all come up too.
I'm going to be just like Karen, but I want to express my love to Alex. All he's done for our family. I want to thank him for always including my family with his family. And the privilege I've had of knowing the Halperin children and the Halperin grandchildren. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and I love you guys both very much.
And Rod and everybody. And I said, okay, now I don't know about you guys, but I eat early. I mean early, I mean 6 o'clock. I'm used to it. So she says, I said, well, let's go to dinner. She said, let's go to dinner. I said, okay, I'll go to dinner. And of course I was nervous. So I said, what time's dinner? 9:30. And I said, 9:30 at night? She said, yeah. I go, why? Because he's working till 9:30 at night? So that was pretty interesting. And ever since then, I got used to the late dinner with the Halperins. Now, when the Parkers eat, we eat earlier. And then, of course, it's been excellent, learning to fish with them, and Ron and Ross and Frank. I love fishing with the guys. Too bad I can't fish a lot more right now, because we're really busy, but he's been a super follow-along. I would never trade him in. And Carol, of course, she's been super too. So, happy birthday.
I just asked the grandkids to say just about 2 or 3 words, and it was like, what do they like best about their grandpa? So who wants to say what they like best about their grandpa? Okay, Kyle and Wolfie and Miley.
Miley.
We had a triple header one year. You say what you like best about your grandpa, and then stay up here.
What I like best about my grandpa is he always takes me and Madison out fishing. We always catch a fish. And I remember one time he took us out fishing. Madison, when she was fishing, she caught a bird. And then he helped us he helped us get the bird off.
Okay. What do you like to do with him?
There's a card. Say it in the mic.
This is going to be a surprise. Say, what do you like to do?
Well,
Hey, Wolfie, not to waste time, okay?
Say it, buddy.
Say it. Say it. Let me look around and ground his head.
yay to me! Well, my most recent memories, he's been really supporting me through this whole bat mitzvah thing and Alexander's ragtime band and all that stuff. So he's just been really supporting me through this whole thing. And it's been really great.
Would you like to say something? You can be really
always short. What I like best about Grandpa is his sense of humor. He likes to be really funny, especially when I'm scared and I'm playing shaking, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about that." So I like the support and his sense of humor, and going fishing was really fun because he always helped me with the hook and the bait, especially when I hook myself.
Hello. What I like best about my grandfather is that he took me to Catalina when I was really young, and throughout the whole years that he has taken me there, I kept wanting to go back and go back. Met some friends there, ended up going to my high school, and all this. I was really scared to come up here, and I just want to say, I just want to thank you for everything that you have done for me, and that I love you.
Come on, Maddie.
I like my grandpa because he buys me a lot of things. And probably including my first boat.
We're going to do a little something that has now become a sort of a Christmas tradition, and it wouldn't be the same if we didn't do this at this time. So, Grandpa, you want to come up here and take this seat? And we have a special song, and I need the help of any Halperin children, grandchildren. I think to conclude this, unless, does anybody else want to say anything? Then we're going to have Linda come up. Linda.
Well, I know the chicken dance is a hard act to follow. I'm not going to flap. I think you should be looking at these pictures, which, you know, we can pass around afterwards. I'll just hold them up for those who have good vision, which doesn't include me anymore. These are pictures from our great trip when John had his bar mitzvah, and we all came down, and it was the first really fab trip to California. And but I have a poem to go with it because I am a lesbian. So, here we go. All right, and I need the glasses. Okay, on the occasion of Alexander's 75th. Alexander, they named him, a princely name for a baby, who was guarded by his nurse. She allowed him to be viewed from the doorway, no closer, because this child was special. The young Alexander, not wild and willful like his sister Ruth, nor mischievous like his little brother Mitch. No, he was the good one, the loyal friend, the apple of his mother's eye. And his father would show him the world. His father would even bring home a corpse and stash it in the basement. What is that smell? Because Alexander needed to study the human body up close. Illegal? Yes. But it was all for the education of Alexander. Alexander, to me, was always Uncle Allie, the baby-faced uncle with the smile on his lips, the one with the chuckling belly laugh, the one who reminds me of Grandpa, the one who, with Carol, welcomes everyone into his home, and I mean everyone. I remember their house in Orange County, cousins piled into rooms, uncles and aunts and grandparents from Canada, arriving on the occasion of John's bar mitzvah. I don't remember the bar mitzvah. But what I do remember is Grandpa, an aerobics instructor ahead of his time, leading 13 grandchildren in aquasize in Uncle Ali's pool. And Uncle Ali took us all on his boat, the Mellow E, where some caught fish and some got sick. And in the end, we were all happy just because we were together. That was my first trip to California, not the last. There have been weddings and bar mitzvahs, reunions and anniversaries, and as our family expands in size and generations, still my Uncle Alex opens his arms wide, redefining the words hospitality, generosity, family. So today we celebrate our famous Alexander, not a conqueror of lands, but a conqueror of hearts.
That concludes our presentation of Alexander's life. We have some albums over on the corner over there if you want to review them. And now I don't know, I'm going to give my husband a minute or two and compose himself and ask him if he would like to say anything at all. Thank you all for coming.
If I had to wait to compose myself, you'd have to wait till next year, because I will have a long time trying to get over how I feel about all this. Well, I'm not going to say very much. I told Mitch, he said, "Are you going to make a speech?" I said, "No." He said, "Good." The one thing I just wanted to say is that I'm really glad to be here. I never planned on, never ever thought I would be here. Never even thought about whether I would or I wouldn't, but I'm really glad to be here, and more than that, I'm really glad all of you are here, because it's made it really, really special. I'm going to do like my kids, I'm going to break up in a minute, but I'm really pleased and really, really feel so good that you all could be here. And you